Would you like to run an auto repair shop like this one? Well, today we're talking to Lucky Singh himself. He opened up Lucky Auto Shop back in 2016 and managed to grow its revenue past $40,000 a month. Is it luck? Hey, Lucky, can you please get me down? What's one thing you think they should do to set themselves up for success?
Our marketing is pretty creative. We kind of think outside the box.
Share more.
I think it's kind of a skill to get somebody to spend that much money with you.
What I was taught by an accountant is you always want to try to be as close to zero profit as possible.
Here you go, sir. I'll let you take it from here.
We'll usually lift it up on jacks and check your suspension. Yeah, you usually don't want to see grease on there, so.
Huh. I like how you're not guessing and actually going to give us the real deal numbers, so that's pretty cool. It's not about luck. Today he's going to share with you guys his entire operation from start to finish, how he picked the right location, put the right systems in place, and built the best team to continue growing his business smoothly. So let's get started. You must be lucky.
I am lucky, man.
You have the Lucky Speed Shop, you have Lucky right here, and I'm lucky today to give you guys this insight on how to run, start, and operate a successful automotive shop, right? Are you excited to do this?
Of course, man.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into the automotive repair industry and why did you start and when?
So I was always tinkering with stuff growing up, and just that path kind of led me to cars. You know, when you're a teenager, 16 years old, you love cars.
Did you always like to mess around with cars specifically?
Always, man. I've had friends that wanted to fix up things on their cars, so I'd bolt parts on, and you know, that path kind of kept pushing me towards that. And then eventually I ended up going to tech school, Bellingham Tech, and I did 2 years there, got my automotive degree. So I started this business about 7 years ago.
Wow, okay.
But I also worked at a dealership for a few years. I worked at Northwest Honda for a few years, and then I worked for another company for a few more years. You know, so I gained kind of the knowledge before I just jumped in. So started with just me and another guy running the shop, and now there's 4 of us total.
You got the shop here, right?
Yeah.
And then do you live and work in the same place?
This is also my residence.
Man.
Yeah, which is kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Right. But you're never late to work, right? Because he's only, what, a couple steps away?
I counted it. It's 12 steps. I'm on the 12-step program.
Lucky, let's talk about the services that you offer. I know there may be a lot, but why don't we hone in on maybe the top 3?
Okay.
And which ones have the highest and lowest margins, and maybe why?
You know, we do anything from oil changes all the way up to engine swaps and everything in between. I would say the highest margins would be on major jobs. If we're doing an engine replacement,
engine swap would be the
like
highest
a
margin
replacement. Yeah. If our guys make good time on it, then yeah, the profit margins are pretty high.
Is it all time-based, even for that big of a job?
Yeah, so when we quote jobs, they're all based on the hours they take. You know, we use a software program that kind of gives us a ballpark idea of what an engine replacement typically, you know, how many hours it typically takes.
Right. Marketing strategies. What are you doing to market your business, and what's giving you the best return on investment?
Our marketing is pretty creative. We kind of think outside the box.
Share more.
So we got these box trucks that I came across, and we put huge logos on them, and we're parking them at different locations in the county. So
just an empty trailer park?
It's just an empty truck. What? Yeah, they're about 14 feet long in the back and 12 feet high. They're just giant banners, and they drive.
Do you have to have permission to park it somewhere?
Yeah, definitely. You definitely have to have permission to wherever you're parking them.
And you feel like that's giving you a good return?
It's huge.
I mean, how are you tracking it?
When people do the initial intake, when they come to us, we'll ask them how they found us. And yeah, the trucks are pretty huge.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
So it obviously has an upfront cost, but then continuing on, do you pay people where you park, or just?
Typically not. I mean, a lot of the places where I'm parking, yeah, I get permission from the owners or the businesses, and you know, typically I'm doing business with the people that I'm parking the truck at their location. I typically do business with them. Yeah. So it's kind of a trade-off. It's like a win-win.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
How many trailers you got?
So we're down to 2. We had 3, and we're down to 2 now.
What happened to the third one? Somebody jack it?
Actually, it got vandalized.
Oh man, sorry. It better not be by your competitor. That wouldn't be cool.
Yeah, so that one got vandalized. It got turned into a storage box.
For somebody watching, right, Lucky, and wants to get into the same industry,
yeah,
how do they gain the necessary skills to get going on their own?
I'd say if you're, if you enjoy tinkering with stuff, just keep pushing the boundary. If you get an opportunity where somebody needs help with something and you kind of get excited over it, I'd say take that opportunity and try to figure it out. I mean, there's so many resources. You got YouTube, you got, repair manuals, you got so much knowledge out there that, eventually if you're not old enough to go to the tech school or go to an official place where they train you, I'd say start young,
How much did the tech school help? Or let's say I can't go to tech school. You worked for the other dealers. How much did that help you get to where you are today?
Oh, quite a bit.
Is that necessary?
So in this industry, you learn the most by doing, So, I mean, you can watch all the videos in the world, but if you don't actually go and do it, you're not going to learn anything. So going to the tech school really, really helped me out quite a bit because it honed the fundamentals, like electronics, voltage, that kind of thing. So that really stepped my game up. Because before, I tinkered with stuff, but it was just, taking bolts off and putting bolts on, and it's not that hard to me. But as far as the fundamentals, you definitely probably want to go to a school so you got all your, the electrical fundamentals. That's probably the hardest part, and especially where the industry's going now, everything's going electric. So you want to have a good foundation, on exactly what you're working on.
What were the startup costs? I mean, besides buying the property that we're at now.
So I'd say startup costs with the business as far as a lease, the tools, the lifts, all that kind of stuff. This might be a low estimate. 20 grand would be.
That's it.
That's what it took me.
Right.
But I'm also on my own property.
Probably double that these days with what the prices are.
At least with inflation and COVID and everything. Yeah, I would say, with the housing market the way it is, definitely.
But I think what would be interesting to find out is where the capital came from. So you guys keep watching to find out where Lucky got the capital, the $20,000 to get going. So stay tuned. Well, Lucky, why don't we switch gears here? I actually have stuff to do on the Jeep, so let me, I'm pretending to be a customer today, right?
All right.
So let's say I walked in and I need an oil change and my brakes squeak. So
basically, we take your information, we put it into our system. Rich will delegate. He'll delegate, your vehicle to one of the necessary techs. So if you look at this area here, this is our workflow.
Right.
So if you brought in a car, you would end up at
waiting for
customer waiting.
Okay.
Those are our two techs there. And then they would get an alert, hey, customer waiting. And then as soon as they get that, they would take it and it would get put to inspection started.
For someone watching you right now who's just started, what's one thing you think they should do to set themselves up for success?
When you get to the point of hiring people, that's definitely on my top list, because if you hire the right people or the people to support you, your business is going to thrive. If you hire, a mistake hire, whatever you want to call it, not somebody that's invested in your business, just a 9-to-5 or whatever, I feel like your business is not going to thrive as much versus if you hire guys that got your back and are willing to put in the extra work, the extra hours, and you got to have their back as well too. It's not just the one-way thing.
So it just comes down to having the right personnel. You're thinking that can set you up for success. That's a big one.
That's very important. I think that gets overlooked a lot. We might have the nicest stuff, we might have the newest technology, but if you guys don't know how to use it or aren't comfortable with being in the position they're in, I think that can set you up for failure, because you can throw money at things and I think they can fail.
Right. Lucky, we're here by my Jeep. Let me give you the key.
All right.
Here you go, sir. I'll let you take it from here.
Sweet. Every car that comes in, we do a visual inspection, a complimentary inspection.
Nice.
So kind
I
of
appreciate the complimentary inspection today.
Yeah, no problem.
So you do a visual inspection before you dive into anything else, right?
Yeah, we do. We do a visual. We make sure there's also no body damage on the vehicle, just for liability purposes.
Okay. What do you think visually? Am I screwed? Or am I good?
Yeah, you're gonna need a new one. Throw it away. No, I'm just kidding. We check over the body, we check over the wheels. We'll usually lift it up on jacks and check your suspension.
This is the jet. This is the jet.
So that's the lift. So once we get it up in the air, there's other jacks that we use to lift the vehicle off the ground, and then that's when we'll pull the wheels off and check the brakes. So with this vehicle especially, suspension is probably something we'd pay real close attention to. You obviously got the bigger tires. You're probably doing some off-roading, I'd guess. So we do a real good job of inspecting the suspension.
If you're a shop owner that struggles with increasing your average repair order, keeping the techs busy, and all your bays full without spending an arm and a leg on advertising and extra staffing, then Broadly is the perfect solution for you. Broadly is like a secret virtual team that helps shop owners build a strong, lasting online presence and reputation. Broadly will automate the collection of online reviews from your happy customers, boosting your online presence. Their easy-to-use software integrates with existing systems and is backed by real customer support. Their reviews, they speak for themselves. On top of that, Broadly's amazing app gives shop owners the ability to efficiently attract, connect with, and serve customers from anywhere, right from the app, so you never ever miss a sales opportunity. So keep your schedule full, your customers happy, make the wise choice, and choose Broadly. Click the link in the description below to learn more information. What 3, 4 things you want to highlight that you believe makes you stand out from your competitors?
I believe customer service is probably our bread and butter. There's a lot of people out there that can fix cars, but can they fix cars while making you feel welcomed or making you feel good? You know, you're spending thousands of dollars on your vehicle. I mean, I think it's kind of a skill to get somebody to spend that much money with you while maintaining a happy, healthy relationship with the customer. We kind of try to get to know you a little bit. You know, you come in, you drive a Jeep, looks like it's got some off-road tires. You know, you're probably out doing off-road things a little bit, I would assume.
How did you know?
And, you know, and just asking about your life, not, you know, prying into it, obviously, but at least getting to know you a little bit, what your interests are, what your hobbies are.
That makes sense. Make it more personal.
Yeah, it's more of a relationship building, you know. It could be transactional. We could take your car, fix it, take your money, and wave to you.
Give me the boot.
Yeah, and there are a lot of customers that also prefer that, you know. There's customers that we don't even see anymore. It's like they'll drop their car off, put the keys in the box, everything's through text, never even speak to them. That's also a thing too, but that's not what we specialize in. It's not like, hey, this is how we're going to run this company. We're more of a face-to-face, kind of personable experience.
Share with us what systems and softwares you use to manage your business, your appointment, just everything in terms of software, and how does that help your business?
So we use a program called Mitchell, and that's what we use for our invoicing and our repair procedures. And then there's other systems that kind of link with it. We have another system called Bolt-On that does the digital inspections. So with the the tablets that we were talking about.
So the Bolt-On is the app for the...
That's the app for
iPads?
the tablets, yeah. Okay. So that's what does the digital inspections.
How much do you think you spend on just monthly subscriptions to the apps, if there are any?
Probably looking at about $1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
So it is up there. I thought you'd say a few $100 at most.
No, they're pretty, you know, they're expensive, but they definitely make your life easier, you know.
So Mitchell, what does that do? I noticed when you were entering my details and the vehicle details, it gave all the VINs and everything popped up. Is that Mitchell?
Yeah, so that's what decodes your vehicle. So, you know, you come in, we get your license plate or VIN, punch it in there, and then it brings up all the information we need to know about your vehicle.
Got it.
And then we enter that into Mitchell, and then we enter your information in there, and then any service that you've had done here in the past, it'll all be logged in there.
If I'm starting a one-bay shop at my property, but I want to make it an official business, right? I don't have a huge budget, not a huge income. What software would you first go with absolutely to make your life easier? What would it be?
When I first started, when it was just me, I used QuickBooks. They do have an invoicing program in there. It's pretty basic, but it will get you by. I mean, it looks professional. You can put your logo on there, but it's not as handy as some of these bigger programs that do a lot of the work for you.
Right. Okay. A place to start.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm in the system for an oil change and brakes. I'm flashing red on the timeline. What does that mean?
So that basically just lets our tech know that there's a customer waiting. So it puts priority on that job. So all the other jobs that are going on are kind of put in the back burner just because, you know, your time is important to us. So
our technician would take your keys, and then obviously bring your vehicle in, and then the status would change to inspection started.
I wanted to ask about what your revenue was last year and what do you expect this year?
Okay. Yeah, so let me look that up real quick. I don't have it off the top of my head.
I like how you're not guessing and actually going to give us the real deal numbers, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Last year, I believe we're sitting at $395.
400,000 in sales.
Yeah.
And year to date, 2022, it looks like you're at 222,000.
Exactly.
So man, we're gonna be a little, 10-20% growth for this year.
Yeah, so we set our goal this year, beginning of the year, our goal was to hit 500,000, half a mil.
I think you will.
So as long as business, keeps up and the economy is good, I don't think we'll have a problem hitting it.
In terms of location, Lucky, let's talk about what are the main factors one needs to consider before choosing where to set up shop. How important is it for a mechanic?
So these days, it's not as important, but
really?
Back in the days where without internet and reviews and the extra medias that are out there now, I feel like now you can kind of choose a location that's a little bit off the beaten path.
People don't mind.
Yeah, people don't mind as long as you got quality. Quality is really important. So. Like here, we started here, and there's hardly any traffic on the road.
Yeah, if you guys notice, we're in the middle of
nowhere.
We're in the middle of nowhere, agricultural land all over us.
Yeah.
And yet you're doing such a great job here. So does location matter as much these days, you think? Or are you saying not really?
I think if you're just starting out with a small crew or just you and another guy, it doesn't matter as much. Now, if you're going full-blown big business and want to build a huge shop, yeah, definitely location matters. But if your overhead is low, I think you can choose a location that's a little less expensive.
So you did a walk around, and visually everything looks good. What's happening? What happens next?
Well, next we're going up.
Just lift it up, okay.
Yep, going on up.
What's the weight capacity on this, Lucky?
So this lift is 12,000 pounds.
All of the lifts are 12? Or do you have a heavier one?
All of them are 12 except that rack, I believe, is 8.
While you're doing this, in terms of scaling this business, what comes to mind? How do you grow this business to the next level in your perspective?
Let me put this on lock.
Yep. We just locked it. We're being safe. Safety first. Okay, let's get underneath.
So we're kind of at capacity here. We're looking for a new location.
So you're limited building-wise?
Yeah, we're limited here. We're kind of starting to outgrow this place. So that is also a challenge that I'm kind of working on right now as we speak.
You mentioned we need to head over to the bank, deposit some money. How much are we talking about? A couple $100,000?
Yeah, I wish.
But we'll head out to the bank. We'll ask a lot more questions and so on. But maybe here, what do you want to point out, or kind of what do you look at real quick?
Like I said, your suspension looks like you got some grease leaking on your CV shafts.
Where?
So right there.
Oh yeah. Is that too much grease?
Yeah, you usually don't want to see grease on there, so that's kind of an issue.
Oh, where? That's a lot.
Yeah. So the boots are probably needing attention on that. And everything else up here, we're just looking for oil leaks, anything out of the ordinary, coolant, oil, brake fluid. Tires look good.
All the same stuff,
brakes,
I guess.
We'd have to take off your wheels to inspect the brakes, but our technicians typically do that on a brake inspection.
Okay.
Let's see, you got your drive shaft here, just making sure that the U-joints are good, we shake those down. Yeah, everything on your Jeep looks pretty good. It's probably pretty low mileage.
Yep, 17,000. Okay.
Yeah. So this vehicle this isn't really a vehicle we typically see at our shop because it's got such low miles.
Yeah.
This is just going to get an oil change and go out.
Okay. Lucky, let's talk about employees. And tell us how many employees you have today.
Total of 3 employees.
Total of 3. What do you want to highlight in terms of how you pay them? What's their starting average pay with your shop?
Basically, with mechanics, starting wage is typically $40,000 a year. That's basically industry average. With the tech shortage that's going on right now, that's going up quite quickly just because there's a shortage of workers for automotive. It's a very complicated job. It can be a lot higher. Our shop is pretty small, and we're not a huge big business where our revenue is crazy. So they're also not getting paid as well as like if they were working for a huge giant shop where techs can make up to
100 grand a year, easy, like easily can break 100 grand a year.
Are they per hour, or there's a salary plus bonus structure? I just want to dig into the structure of their
so
pay.
they are per hour. We have a bonus system that we use as well. But yeah, all the employees are just hourly. But there is a lot of shops that get paid, they call it flat rate, where they get paid by the job. Me personally, I think the quality suffers when you have a system like that, so I haven't implemented anything like that. You have a lot more cars coming back for secondary repairs,
that's
just because I mean, think about it. The guy's getting paid per job, you know, and gets a flat rate fee for working on that car. So if he gets done in half an hour and he's getting paid for an hour, he's gonna, you know,
take higher profits.
Exactly, just to get it out of the shop.
Overall for your shop, Lucky, what are the profit margins you shoot for? Just when you take all the services and bundle them together, what are you looking at, 20, 30% after all?
I think right now we're like probably 10%.
You're at 10?
It might be a little bit low, but we also are, you know, I'm putting a lot of money into the business. I could jack the percentage up, but then I wouldn't be putting anything into the business.
But 10%, guys, I mean, it's not
it's not
an exciting profit margin.
No, it's not. But the thing is we pay our guys really well. I get paid pretty well as well.
You're happy with what you get?
Yeah, exactly. The 10% might sound really low, but take into account I'm getting paid, everybody else is getting paid, and the taxes are less when you make less. So what I was taught by an accountant is you always want to try to be as close to zero profit as possible while running a business.
Interesting.
Because then you're not paying the high amounts of federal tax.
There you go.
So
using the tax code to your advantage. That's what it's there for.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's also a huge, you know, thing that most people when they start businesses don't look at. It's like they're just chasing profit. It's like, well, you also want to take into account what you actually make is going to get taxed 30, 35, 40%. You know.
All right, you guys, we're going to do a quick blitz with Lucky. What do you do with your profits, Lucky?
What do I do with my profits?
Yes, sir.
Well, a lot of it I reinvest into the business. Other stuff, I have hobbies. I like going out, you know, hiking.
Okay, hiking's fun. What would you tell your previous boss at this point?
What would I tell my previous boss?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I would actually tell him thanks for all the lessons that he taught me.
Very kind.
I took them and I applied them in my own business.
Can you tell us about your most bizarre business encounter? Can you think of anything?
Oh yeah, there was one time we were working on a van, and I went to go lift it up. You know, I lifted it up in the air, and I hear this meowing. Well, apparently the customer had a cat that lived in the van that he forgot to mention. He didn't tell us about it. So the whole time we're working on the van, it was meowing.
Oh man, that's a cool story. And then last but not least, we always love to end with, what is your favorite business book?
Recently, I read The Alchemist.
Okay. Never
I guess you could say it's kind of a business book, but it's kind of not. It's kind of more of a life book.
Pursuing your dreams?
Pursuing your dreams, and you know, where everybody's, you know, different. Everybody has their own path.
Okay.
And that book kind of touches on that. It's basically just the story of a young man following his, you know, destiny.
Okay. Well, you guys, we are going to give this book away for free. Here's what you need to do. You need to comment below and answer the question, what is the most outlandish purchase you've made for your business? That's all it is. Answer that question in the comments below, and we here at the UpFlip team will send you that book as soon as we pick the lucky winner randomly. Thank you. Today, as far as challenges, what are you faced with? What are the biggest challenges as an auto repair mechanic?
Today's challenges are pretty complex. You know, vehicles are changing rapidly every year. Obviously, you guys know electric vehicles are down the pipeline, so that's huge. Training for our guys, we're starting to train a lot more on electric vehicles.
You expect to see?
Yeah, I think here in the next 5 years, we'll probably start seeing, you know, as they come out of warranty, they're so fresh right now, they're not out of warranty yet, but as they do come out of warranty, they're going to need to be fixed. Just like anything else, everything breaks.
Right,
you
know, just
because it's electric doesn't mean it doesn't break. You know, there's less moving parts, but still moving parts.
Right. What about online reviews?
For sure.
Do you focus a lot on that? How important are they for a mechanic shop? like yours?
Online reviews, honestly, are super huge. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure you anytime you need a service, you're online, right? That's kind of where we're at in this industry as well. I think it's great because it gets rid of all the bad shops out there per se, or guys that are not so honest.
Do you have a set plan on how to ask for reviews, or where can I leave a review after today?
Yeah, so every service we do, we typically ask for a review via text. Our service advisor, Rich, will also ask you in person to leave a review, and then we'll send a reminder about 2 days after your service. And then on top of it, I also do a quality control. I'll take random invoices and then give the customers a call to see how their service went with the repair or the oil change or whatever it be, just to kind of gauge how we're doing, because not everybody's comfortable saying, hey, I had a bad experience, you know. They usually just won't come back.
All right, well, let's get out of the beautiful lobby you got here and talk to me about pricing, because you know every shop's a little different. Do you have a model to price things out, or?
So we do a lot of competitive price shopping. Where I have some friends that own shops as well. So I kind of talk to them about, hey, what are you guys charging for this, or what are you guys charging for that? We'll
you actually make the calls and talk.
I actually make the calls because I don't feel uncomfortable talking prices with people. I feel like it should be an open book.
I agree.
On top of that, I also get some of my friends to call around other shops, you know, that need work. I'm like, hey, can you call this for me, just to see what they will quote you? Right. And we kind of take that into account when we do our pricing, because we don't want to be way up here and the rest of the guys are down here, because you know. So we're right in the middle there. We might not be the most expensive, but we're also not the least expensive.
You mentioned earlier in the interview, Lucky, the startup costs, right? 20 to 25,000. I wanted to tell our audience where you got those funds, because funding is huge for somebody that wants to start but doesn't have much. Yeah. So what was your story, and then what can you suggest funding-wise to get going?
So my story is pretty unique. I'm into cars. I'm a mechanic. I've always had, niche cars. Got to a point in my life where I was able to afford a Skyline GTR, an R32. So I got to a point in my life where I kind of achieved that goal of having that car. It was like my lifelong childhood dream. I ended up getting the car, drove it around for a few years, and something was lacking in my life. I wanted to start a business, and I was trying to come up with different ideas of raising money to start a business. The only thing I kept coming back to was selling that car. Yeah.
Wow. Your childhood dream becomes the funding source
for another dream. Yeah. So I gave up that car to start the business, and I definitely have no regrets. I had a great time with the car. I enjoyed it, and it led me to start a business.
Let's talk about finding sources, though, for those that don't have a GTR to sell, right? What have you learned over the last 7, 8 years in this industry in terms of where one can go to get their business funded, off the ground, etc.? There's a lot of people who sit on nothing and don't start pursuing their ideas or goals because they don't have money. I don't think that's an excuse. That's part of our channel.
So one thing I will say is having good credit is huge. You don't necessarily have to have a lot of money to have good credit. So if you start off by having a $500 credit card and always making your payments on time, as simple as that, will later in life that'll pay off dividends, because banks will more likely to be giving you loans, like a business loan.
So I just want to go back real quick in terms of the necessary skills you may need to be successful, right? Yeah. Is school a must-have? What if I was just really good since as a teenager fixing engines? Can I just get a license and open up an auto repair shop? Like, what's your thought process on that?
I would definitely push school quite a bit. I mean, it can be done without school, obviously, but you'll get a better foundation of the industry if you go to the school, and you'll get a better knowledge of the advanced components in a car. You might be able to unbolt things and bolt them back together, but you're not going to get the knowledge of the programming, all the updates that a new vehicle needs, the electronics. There's so many complicated systems on a car. I feel like you at least need to take some classes at a minimum.
Got it.
And even here now, like, we're constantly going to classes to learn the technology.
Right.
Because you got to keep up with it, right?
Things always change every day.
Exactly.
Lucky, tell us about the time it took you to break even with this business. So it's almost going to be 8 years, January next year.
That's right, yeah.
When did you break even when you got started?
So I would say between year 3 and year 4 is actually when things started.
Wow.
We were positive income rather than just grinding and, you know, breaking even or even a little bit less.
Did you pay yourself for year 3 and 4?
I did not. So the first 3 or 4 years I didn't actually pay myself because there was just not enough income there.
How do you survive though? I mean, most businesses go out of business within the first year, and you made it through 4 when you started paying yourself. But reserves, or what's the secret recipe?
I had some reserves, and then the thing is I live on the residence, so a lot of the costs with, you know, the business kind of covered for me as far as my bills, just because it's a tax write-off.
Right.
That's kind of how I did it. I kind of lived just within my means. I wasn't out doing anything. I was working 12 hours a day. I was just grinding, you know.
Wow.
So just sacrificing. I kind of saw that eventually it would pay off. And it finally started paying off within year 4, I'd say. We started making positive income.
Man, good for you for not giving up. What lessons maybe can you share with us, you know, in terms of managing your team as an auto mechanic? What comes to mind with that question?
I'm a pretty go with the flow type of guy, so that's kind of how I lead, is go with the flow. And then I also look at things from their perspective, because sometimes they have better ideas than me. A lot of the times they come up with ideas that, you know, I might have initially got going with, but they'll come up with a solution that's way better than I could think of. And I'd say just incorporating your team into every aspect in your business will, in the long run, help you out. You know, the whole dictator, authoritarian style of running a business, I think it's kind of outdated and it doesn't work.
It does not. Is there a seasonality aspect to the automotive repair business? Like, do you have busy months, slow months? If so, dollar-wise, what is a good month and what is a really slow month?
I'd say the weather definitely has an effect. You know, summertime, people are a lot more active, taking a lot more road trips, so they're putting a lot more money into their vehicles in the summer. So our busiest months are, you know, June, July, August. Those are probably our busiest months versus winter. It's kind of a slower time. You know, when it snows, people aren't really driving, you know, they're working at home more. During the winter, it's pretty slow.
Like slow to a point where you have to pay out of pocket to cover costs? Slow,
yeah, definitely. There have been some years where I've had to take out of the slush fund.
Wow.
Just because, you know, if a snowstorm hits and everybody's,
and it's a week,
there's power outages, I'm not going to have my guys, hey guys, want to come in and hang out in the dark shop?
Yeah.
So that's something you don't really think about until it happens. So you definitely want to have a slush fund for payroll.
Okay, so that's a good tip for you guys, especially in your industry, right? If the road's shut down, no one is driving.
No, nobody's driving.
I'm curious, you guys, if you can comment below and tell us in the comments what you do as a mechanic during, you know, times like that. I'm just curious. Maybe you've created some other service where you do something else to continue revenue. So please comment below. We greatly appreciate that. Let's talk about website. What's important that you want to highlight in terms of the importance of having a website for a mechanic these days?
With website, yeah, you definitely want your website to be up to date and with relevant pictures and, you know, what you got going on in the shop.
How are you using the website? What kind of tool is it for you? Is it just for pictures and for people to know who you are, or?
Basically, yeah. When people look you up on Google, they'll obviously look at the reviews, and then if they take it a step further, they'll go on your website and see what it's like, right?
Can they reach out to you, get a quote via website, or that's not
typically they'll reach out to us. They can request an appointment online, and then our service advisor, Rich, will either approve it or give them a call and let them know, or a text message and let them know whether it's available or not.
Okay.
But yeah, with auto repair, every job is so unique. We don't let the customer set the appointment because they don't know how long it's going to take.
Right. So it's basically a beautiful business card, tells everything about you.
Exactly.
And it gives you an opportunity to reach out.
Yep.
Everything else happens here.
Exactly.
Lucky, in terms of resources in this industry, things are always changing, rules, cars, everything. Where can you as a business owner go to, or have been going to learn more, get help, get the resources you need to really stay on top of things and be the expert in your field?
So we do a lot of trainings, out-of-town trainings with other shops.
Oh wow, interesting.
Nationwide shops. There's a company called Elite Worldwide. we use them quite a bit.
Are they an educational platform or something?
They're basically an educational company. Their specialty is customer service, and then just process building. They kind of help you, they kind of coach you through process building.
So it's not specific to the auto repair industry?
Actually, they are specific to the auto repair industry.
Got it, okay. We'll make sure we leave a link in the description below so that our viewers can take advantage. Anything else as far as resources, forums, groups, or that is kind of the bulk of where you go to learn?
Also, Facebook has a lot of different groups, auto repair shop groups.
That's
that
right.
We kind of use them as a resource as well. Kind of bounce ideas off of, hey, we got a customer that's wanting this done. What do you guys think? Or what do you guys think of this job? Or what should we be charging for this? And, you know, it's kind of, Facebook, it helps quite a bit, but you kind of got to weed through all the crap.
Right.
You know?
All the junk that doesn't give you value.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but it is very important for a business owner to have these places to go to, right?
Oh, for sure.
To not only educate them, but their employees, their staff, and really stay on top of the game. And we actually have, UpFlip does have a resource center, you guys, so check it out. It's for all entrepreneurs. It's for small business owners. If you want more advice, more info, go to upflip.com/learn. Check it out today. All right, we are back, you guys. One of the last questions I wanted to ask you as we were coming back is training programs. Do you have anything worth mentioning that is of value, or do they come in experienced and kind of learn on their own?
We kind of learn as you go. There's, you know, there's classes that come up every once in a while, and we'll attend those. There's some seminars we'll go to, like a weekend to Seattle or Oregon, or there's different places where there's trainings.
Right.
But we don't have a set academy or anything like that.
Like when I come in, you don't have a week 1, week 2, do this, do that, catch up. Okay. They just come in, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
All right.
I'll train them to the best of my ability. And then from there, they learn as they go.
You're actually going to get your hands dirty?
Yeah, I always do, man.
That's awesome. You guys, if you're enjoying this, support our channel by hitting that like button. Thank you so much. You wanted to expand, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because you've kind of outgrown yourself. What are you going to look for in the next location to scale the business even further?
Well, just having enough space for parking is, as simple as that. That's really important. I mean, as you can see, we're real tight on parking here and we're kind of outgrowing the place. So the next location we choose, it'll probably be a lot bigger than what we need, just so we can keep growing.
So you're not necessarily in town or whatever, you just need more space, more
exactly,
parking.
Yeah. For us, we kind of like being, outside of town, because I'm sure you guys have seen the crime rate is going up. There's all kinds of craziness in the world. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise being out in the county. When I first started the shop, it was like the only reason I chose here is this is what I could afford.
Right.
So it was like, well, this is all I can afford. I'm going to give it a shot, see what happens.
Might as well start running.
And now, 7 years later, I'm like, oh man, this is great. We don't have gates, we don't have fencing, there's no crime here.
Yeah. What's the biggest mistake you've made, and what did you learn from that experience so far as a business owner?
I would say, when you do have an upset customer or a situation that goes sideways, I've learned to handle that a little differently than I did when I first started out. Sometimes it's better to put your pride away and just make the situation right. Whether it's your fault or not, it needs to get fixed. So I think I've learned how to manage that a little better, whereas when I first started, it was like, you had to put your ego away.
Right.
Like, hey,
it comes with experience.
Exactly,
right?
It comes with experience. It's like, hey, we might have to suffer financially here a little bit, but at least we get the customer taken care of and they leave happy versus, hey, I'm right, you're wrong.
Get out of here.
See you later.
Yeah, never want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the biggest things I've learned.
This was a pleasure.
No problem, man. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks, Lucky. Well, that's a wrap with Lucky, the owner of Lucky's Auto Shop. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure that if you live in the Whatcom-Skagit County, come check it out, say hi, leave a good review, and make sure you check out another interview we did with Ole. He's a 16-year-old who started a pressure washing business and is doing an incredible job. Thank you guys for watching. Take a second to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you don't miss any of our videos. Take care.